Welcome, Fey and Miles and friends, to another episode of Reading with Grams. I hope you guys are all doing well. Fey, Miles, Grams is sending you big hugs and kisses. I miss you guys very much. Today's story is Grow, Candace, Grow, written by Candace Cameron Bure and illustrated by Christine Battuz. Don't know if I said that right. Spring had finally arrived. For Candace, that means three things: scrumptious picnics, swirly spring dresses, and most importantly, flowers. Big, bright, beautiful flowers. Candace could hardly wait for colorful blooms to appear. By the time she got to go to school, she had an ideal she was sure her teacher, Mrs. Fernweather, would like just as much as she did. "We should plant a class garden," Candace announced to Mrs. Fernweather, smiling widely. Mrs. Fernweather agreed it was a wonderful idea. So did the rest of Candace's class, especially her best friend, Sophia Rose. Harry, however, wasn't so sure. To grow a garden, you need dirt, and Harry did not like to get dirty. Candace's class got to work preparing to plant the garden. They brought in shovels and seeds, watering cans and buckets, gardening gloves, and a special watering hose. When it finally time when it was finally time to start planting, Candace couldn't have been more excited. Harry couldn't wait to get it over with. Miss Fernweather showed the class how to dig holes. "Not too deep," she said. Then she demonstrated how to place the seeds in the ground and cover them gently with dirt. The class worked together, digging and seeding, until their soon-to-be garden was planted. Candace's class stood back to admire their hard work, but Candace wasn't impressed. There was no flowers, just a big patch of dirt. "When will the flowers bloom?" Candace asked Mrs. Fernweather. "Plants need sunlight and just the right amount of water to grow," explained Mrs. Fernweather. She showed the class how to check the soil. "When the ground feels dry, give the seeds a little drink," she said. Then Miss Fernweather gave her class an encouraging smile. "But plants need time, so we must be patient. In about a week, we'll see the seeds beginning to sprout. And then in 4 to 6 weeks, we will have bright, beautiful flowers." Candace's class checked the garden every day. They watched and waited for the seeds to sprout. Candace tried to be patient. She really did, but she didn't even see any signs of sprouts. Candace remembered what Mrs. Fernweather said: "When the ground feels dry, give the seeds a little drink." The ground did not feel dry, but Candace decided some extra water might help. If a little water helps a plant grow, she thought, then a little more should help them grow faster. So Candace gave them water. The next day she gave them some more, and the day after that even more. When the garden didn't sprout, Candace's class wanted to know why. "It's been a week," said Megan. "The garden had plenty of sunlight, and we gave it just the right amount of water," added Sophie Rose. Mrs. Fernweather checked the soil, and then she held out a handful of dark, drippy mud. "This is very odd," she said, looking at her class. "Did someone give the garden extra water?" Candace looked down at the ground. "I did," she said very softly. "I thought a little extra water would make the flowers grow faster. I'm really sorry, everyone." The class was not very happy with Candace. "The garden is ruined, and it's all my fault," wailed Candace. "I gave it too much water, and now the seeds will never bloom." Harry tried to cheer her up, but Candace couldn't be cheered. That night, Candace tossed and turned in bed. She couldn't bear to think about her disappointed class or her teacher or best friend, and especially about the garden they worked so hard to plant. The garden would never be filled with big, bright, beautiful flowers now. The next morning, Candace woke up with an idea. She hurried to school, hopeful Mrs. Fernweather would like her plan. That's a very good idea, Candace, Mrs. Fernweather said softly. Candace had suggested that they try planting another garden. She promised only to water it when the ground felt dry. Candace worked really hard getting ready for the new garden. She went to visit a plant nursery. She read about gardening, and she even brought in a special seed as a surprise for class. The gardener told her that these seeds would attract beautiful butterflies. When it finally When it was finally time to plant the new garden, Candace was excited but a little nervous too. She didn't want anything to go wrong. She and her class worked together, digging and planting until everything was in place. Candace even said a little prayer. When they finished, they stood back to admire their handiwork. Even Harry was impressed. Candace's class checked the garden every day. They watched and waited for the seeds to sprout and the plants to grow bigger. It wasn't easy, but Candace waited patiently with her friends. She only watered when the ground felt dry. When the time seemed to move slowly, she and Harry tried singing to the seeds. At long last, sprouts appeared, and soon little plants began to bloom. Small at first, then bigger and bigger. Until finally the flowers Candace had imagined blossomed, big, bright, and beautiful. Colorful butterflies flitted and floated throughout the seas of the bloom. It wasn't easy being patient, Candace admitted to Mrs. Fernweather, but it was worth the wait. Even Harry agreed. The end. I hope you guys enjoyed today's book. Fey and Miles, I hope you guys are being good. I miss you. I can't wait to see you again. And friends, if you liked today's episode, hit subscribe so you get notified when the next episode goes live. Until next time, guys, bye.